So today we have with us the only person who we could put in frame of being the chief guest and the chief guest because we didn't pay her. Thank you, Nisha, for joining us today. So before we start off the conversation, I really wanted to know how was your first interaction with people today in the office?
Today, I love coming to office. I have always loved coming to office. I feed off people's energy. In Consultadd, we have values.
Yeah.
And people over process was my value. It's still in my LinkedIn. So being around people is amazing. It's been nice.
Mm-hmm. And so we wanted to cover a lot of sections. I would say if your life is a storybook, so we had a lot of chapters that we highlighted that let's talk about this and that. We'll start off from very start as an immigrant journey, like you coming from a section from Nepal and then moving to US. There are professional changes and cultural changes. So how was that transition for you?
Okay, before that, it could be a joke maybe. I was in room with some of members of company and just sharing my past, my present, and somebody said, "Why don't you work in India?" And I told them, "I don't have visa." And people were shocked, like they hadn't thought about India and visa in the same level. But I have always thought about visa in my whole life. I left Nepal after my high school, and I had no clarity, no vision. I just knew that I want to see bigger, do bigger, and what better than America? A lot of my friends had already come to America for education, so that helped. It was not a completely uncharted territory. But now it's been, I don't even know, like I left for America 2008. I don't know like how many years has it been that I'm there. And then I didn't just stay in US. When I started to work for Consultadd, I came and worked for India, which I had never thought about because we're a neighboring country. But I went to US before I had come to India. I could have crossed the border, but I didn't. And then here, then again, I had to understand the culture, language, learn people. So I think being immigrant, I've loved, again, people, being around different people, learning culture, learning the nuances of what does life there mean. US has been a beautiful journey laced with issues. I've literally gone from every visa status as a student, OPT, H1, green card, and then being an American, which I haven't settled, that feeling hasn't settled in yet.
Yes. So if we have to summarize the process of being in US and then going through these visa status, what is that one thing that stuck with you? Let's say if I go back 10 years, if I go back in 2008 and you have to give a pep talk to Nisha in 2008, who was just about to leave for US, what would you tell her?
For pep talk, things have changed, right? I was a little naive. I didn't think about my visa when I chose what I wanted to study. And luck, grit, right opportunities at right time, whatever it is, it somehow worked out for me. But things are really different, right? I think it is very, very much important that you are aware of consequences of what you are taking right now, especially in a different country. Because simple thing like your ability to stay in your apartment can be tough when you are an immigrant. You never have those thought process or concept when you are back home with your family or in your country, even if you're in a different city. You will never think about being evicted from a country. So my one pep talk would be, where do you see yourself after you finish this degree? Do you want to stay here? Do you want to go back? If you want to go back, study for the jobs that either you can have or you can create. I studied something so lofty that I couldn't utilize in Nepal. Then I studied something not non-STEM. So staying in US is becoming tougher unless I landed a job and they sponsored me. So one pep talk is be aware and be intentional of what you are doing and plan your at least next 3 years based on that.
You touched a very good point about you having two different academic experiences, one with something that is tech inclined and another with something that was in itself not very tech inclined, and now you are comprising best of both the worlds, like making policies in tech, right? And it's something that for us or for most of our viewers they're like, it's having maybe eggplant on a pizza. It's so.
That's good though. Depending on who you ask. He's judging me.
But yes, so not eggplants. What don't you like on pizza? Like one topping that you would hate on pizza?
Hate?
Yeah.
Pineapple.
Pineapple on pizza. All the good juice, I'm sorry, but yeah, pineapple on pizza.
Yeah.
So now how is it possible, and I really wanted to first start off with what is policy in tech, because that is where we'll start off with. And how is it possible that you are able to comprise best of both the worlds? And is it only the kind of, I would say, genre that is only open to countries like US or that are globally exposed?
Sure. First disclaimer, I am now venturing out to the policy and tech world because I just graduated. So that is an area I want to pursue my career. And tech career I had, or I'm still in a way involved because I'm still in Consultadd. So that way I'm involved. I'll address the last question first. Unlike when I started my undergrad, and unlike my life in Nepal as high schooler and school kid, back then we didn't have tech at all in Nepal. It was not like India. We didn't have computers at home. Internet was through cafe. Schools had this basic MS-DOS education that we went through. Like, it doesn't happen anymore, right? Now, everybody has smartphone, if nothing else, and a Wi-Fi, which means there is tech everywhere. Everything is funneled. Every service program is funneled through tech. So tech has a lens of revenue. Tech has a lens of cultural shift. Tech has a lens of norm, which means tech is and will be predominantly everywhere. So tech and policy will go hand in hand globally. A lot of policymaker or a lot of laymen, when they think of policy and tech, they think to restrict the tech. But I'm trying to figure out what is a way where you can liberate tech as much as you can without hampering people, without giving avenues for unintended consequences that will ruin people's life. Because we don't think of tech and gender enough. We don't think of tech and minorities enough. How is that harming them? But I want to also have a lens of how is that uplifting them more. So that's my take on what I want to pursue my career in. But yeah, I think coming from all random fields to new field is in retrospection, it works. As you're doing it, it feels very random. It feels very aimless. A little more background. When I was in Nepal, I prepped for medical school. Then I went to US and just randomly did bachelor's in business administration. Because I was in tech, I thought I can do master's in database administration. Then I was like, no, I always want to do policy. But that also then gave me mindset of a medic, of a business and management, of table, data, like evidence-based approaches to think, and then a very people notion. Security, safety, upliftment. What does poverty mean? What does an economic improvement mean? And these are rare when you live in USA. It's already a developed country. But one place it is still not developed is tech, because policy hasn't reached that level yet.
Yeah.
So tech policy is poor everywhere. And I'm taking that lens.
It's a very basic phenomenon. So let's say if somebody is pursuing their career as a graphic designer, so from the very start of their, when they were a toddler, they had that nuance of designing things, being creative. For anybody who is an engineer, they like to solve puzzles. They enjoy complex problems. Do you think any of your personality traits, or I would say personality traits only, pushed you to, following policy as a career?
I think my upbringing has a lot to do with it. My both parents were in Nepal figures who were supporting people of our community in certain ways. That might have had an impact. And I learned that I'm an empathetic person. Call it selfish. I sleep better if I think I supported, helped someone, and I used to joke that I have God syndrome. I want to play God. That was when I was not pursuing policy because I didn't know how else to mention it, because it gave me happiness to be able to support people. But then I've like completely embraced it. That is me. My dad used to say, even if you can help and support one person, that's good enough. Initially, I was only supporting me. I was supporting one person, and that was good enough. And now it's not good enough anymore. So I want to do more.
Right. If you are talking about helping people, and it's a very, I would say, calming trait for yourself as an individual. So if you're in a leadership positions, sometimes being empathetic doesn't work out. Do you think so?
Being empathetic doesn't mean not being able to do the right things. I have resonated with people who needed job, and I might have to let them go. I've resonated with someone who was having personal challenges, and I had to temporarily remove them from a certain demanding projects. They were not super happy about it, right? If you're not empathetic, I don't think you can lead. Because what are you leading? What is it that you are leading? Yeah, if you say company, revenue, where is it that coming from? I think being leader is pulling out the best potential from people, giving them a space where they can expand themselves. It is not saying you can do this. It is also helping them know I can do much more, or I can pivot, or this is not my place. I need to be on somewhere else. That is also leadership. So no, I don't think so. I think empathy doesn't mean being incapable of doing right things for the company, for the people, for revenue, for stakeholders, shareholders. But without empathy, I don't know how you can be a leader.
If somebody is, let's say, let's take a scenario of someone who is a good manager, but is not a leader. What would be the step you will tell that person?
That's a tough one, and that's so correct. Yeah, we have come across people who are efficient, good managers, but they are simply not leaders. A lot of time I have said people, it's just cliche and lofty things. How would you like to be treated? Because life happens to everyone. You'll get sick too. Your family will need you too. If you were your own manager, how would you like it? Sometimes, good companies are not good, or great companies are not great because they had all efficient managers. They're also great because they could value people on people level. That's why the better ones stayed. That's why you pay for 8 hours, but they still gave you much, much more than that. So for those managers, I think one place to start is, if you are your own manager, would you like it?
Does capitalism overpower values? Let's say if you work in a scenario where people are ready to work in a toxic environment where they're paid more, rather than working in a mild environment and where their culture, their thought process is also valued, but they get paid less, where compensation is not that much.
If capitalism always overpowered, why would anyone work in a startup where they're paid in stocks, the stocks that don't have value yet? That's my question to you.
I would say this is because of a historic. This is my point of view. Please, I don't want any rant on my YouTube. I think this is more of through historical data where people think that there are companies like Amazon, like Facebook, now Meta. They have historical data of people working in tech startups, and then those companies burst out to be these multi-million giants, and then they're also ready to take that leap. That is first. Secondly, I think that in startups, you are comprising 2 to 3 factors at the same time, rather than in a very big multinational company. So for me, people who work in startup is A, they want to create their own startup. B, they want to get the startup experience and then apply for a very high job compensation in a big company. That's my point of view,
Sure.
and that might be wrong also.
No, I agree with you, and I think I gave you a very lofty answer. In general, yes, people want money. That's where they start from.
Yeah.
Everybody wants money, lifestyle, financial, especially now and today. If financial freedom gives you freedom with any and everything you want to
Yes.
do in life. For example, my mom still lives in Nepal. If I don't have financial freedom, I cannot visit her 5 times a year.
Yeah.
It's simple as that.
Yeah.
Right? And if I'm burnt out, I can't take time off if I don't have financial freedom. So a lot of things are tied within financial freedom. I don't have all data because this is not something that I ever looked through or consciously tried to figure out. But I feel, this is an opinion, a feeling, I feel eventually people let go. If it is only about money, and if it is not about other intrinsic value, if it is not about value that they're getting, people will leave. They will do something else. Or there are some people who don't want to change. They are unhappy. We have heard of some people who say they worked in a corporation 30 years and they were unhappy forever, but bills were paid.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think in overall, it's tough to generalize because we have also not lived their life and their experiences. Why are they doing this job? Why is that money important for them? Why can't they change? What is it about that company or the market or the culture? There are so many these simple nuances that we cannot bucket in. But I do believe after a certain point, when your initial basic needs are covered, if it is only about money, people will seek something else because they need liberty. They may not leave the company, then they will probably do side hustles. There is an architect who makes music. There is a doctor who's a model, right? Things like that. So there are various avenues of merging capitalism with passion, with ethics, and with every other way.
So as a leader, when you try to build framework of how your team should work, and because the kind of work that you did, it is very extensive towards the compensation, the money, and then parallelly you have to also incorporate values like people over process, empower. How did you find the right balance? Like, hey, your salary is being credited, but is it coming with a smile?
Yeah.
So how did you balance that?
That's a tough one. That is a tough one. You're saying leader, you're saying count me as a friend, or you count me as your mentor, somebody you can look up to, and then you're saying I'm not you. I know you need 50K more in your allowances. I can't give you.
Yeah.
And they will say I have medical bills, and you're like, oh my God, I can't give you. That's a tough one. But at those times where things were tough from an empathy perspective, data has helped me. You have a numbers are black and white mostly, you have your own revenue, you have a margin, you have a budget that is already outlined, and you have expectations, you have these guidelines from HR policies where certain structures are already inlaid. And if somebody comes to you demanding certain things, let them explain why. A lot of time I've fought, if it was not directly in my hand, I have fought for someone who had evidences of why they deserve it. It took me a while to cross-question people why they deserve it. But once I got to that point, it was a fair trade for both them and I.
So you talked about the, being empathetic, and on a personal level, when you do it and you emit it to people, it's your own choice. Like, and it's your way how you treat people to make sure they are comfortable, they understand that you value what they feel.
Yeah.
But if you talk it as a process in a company, it starts off from your idea of being empathetic, but in situations, it ends up being, hey, today is Subbu's birthday.
Yeah.
And today Subbu is completing 5 years. Let's congratulate him.
Yeah.
Is there any way how you, if you have to again reframe this whole process of bringing empathy to everyone from top to bottom in the whole chain, what would you like to do?
First of all, being a very empathetic leader on that level, on the personal level, let's face it, only works in more one-to-one situation and a more smaller team, right? If I'm leading 500 people on the same level, it's tough to do, hey, it's Subhu's birthday. But if I'm one-to-one leading 5 mentors, then who are leading 50 other employees, then those 50 one-to-one is theirs and mine is with them. When I say empathy, I do mean empathy is really necessary, but that doesn't mean the guidelines and the framework shouldn't be there. Like you change everything and anything because you feel for someone, right? I hope you understand that the logic is always there. If I were to re-lead, I would ask people to be more straightforward, attuned to their need. I want the guessing game to go out of my team. If you're unhappy, tell me. Don't assume I know. If you need something, tell me. Don't think, you know my value, that's what you should give me. I'm a human too. It may not be my priority. While I want your growth and I want you to succeed, it may not be my priority at the moment. So don't just stay with your emotions, feelings and needs. Be transparent. Once we remove the guessing game, I think things will be much more easier to work beyond that.
And how do you remove this guessing game?
Foster the culture of being transparent. I usually follow communicating about problem and then offering solution, or communicating about a problem and saying these are my thoughts on how I want this to resolve. That is one way of approaching when you say I'm unhappy. Before we started this conversation, you gave me a style of feedback that you received where they shared their opinion of how they didn't enjoy it. What are you going to do with that he didn't enjoy it? What is the feedback there? So remove the guessing game by fostering a culture where people are comfortable voicing differing opinion from each other. When you're not shunning out people because they are thinking something else which doesn't align with you right then and there. I mean, you can still argue or you can still debate without making it a petty game. So fostering a culture of more transparent communication where people feel comfortable voicing their needs is how I would start from.
If I go a step back, that means if I have to have a clear communication and very transparent people and their thought process, that means I would in a way expand the time limit or duration of any process. Let's say I'm talking about a new project and everybody has an opinion. I want everybody's opinion to be valued. That means 5 people talking at the same time and every person is taking 2 minutes, 10 minutes gone easily. And it's very sure that out of that 3 people would have thoughts, ideas that were not relevant enough. But you also work and corporate works on a timeline game as well. You have deadlines to complete. How is this possible for somebody as a leader or even as a manager or even as a co-worker to make sure that having transparent idea is not just bulging out or just speaking out what you meant, but being very contextual to the conversation?
First of all, being leader is not being absolute on things. It's a capacity to change depending on need. In policy world, it's also joked, in a democracy, you can't have full democracy, otherwise things will not move forward. Right? And no, it will not be always democratic. You may not feel it was always fair, and I'm saying you may not feel, right? Obviously, in an idealistic context, things has to be fair, things has to be right, things has to be equal. But guess what? We've said that even the concept of equal is not correct. There has to be equality. Right? Who needs more and provide there. But when you are adding in the concept of making revenue out of it, in a private sector especially, if you're not a public sector, if you're not on providing public service and goods, in a private sector, you are also making revenue. So efficiency has to be there, right? And many other things for that thing to work. So for a leader, it is not absolute. And you change depending on what is necessary. But you are not changing the rule of the game in such a way that people around you are off balance. You know what I'm saying? So don't throw your team off balance. But a full democracy, I don't know. I might be cancelled for saying this, but it doesn't work.
The full democracy is the word. You talked about balance, and this is the same question we asked somebody else, and then I'll jump back to this again. we are talking about the balance in professional context. Do you think if your partner is also a person who is too much into a cooperative life, and you are also somebody who is too much into maybe right now completing the masters and getting yourself doing multiple tasks done, how do you make sure that on dinner table the conversations are not about what you did last in the morning, what happened in the life, and it's more about you guys?
First of all, the question is there a consistent dinner table?
Yes.
If both of them are
Yes.
that busy.
Yeah.
I have my life partner,
Yeah.
and I don't know. I think your life partner is a different kind of partnership.
Yeah.
And I'm lucky to have a partner who we both really click. We have been good with our communication, our expectation, expressing our needs. Fortunately or unfortunately, we both love working, so workaholic, being ambitious. So our life doesn't always have segregation of our career and what we're doing to our personal life. It just revolves around any and everything, and nothing is off limit. Sure, sometimes I remind him that there are other pressing personal things that we need to talk about, and I voice it, and he accepts it. And there are times where he takes me like time out. This is a couple of things we need to talk about. Simple things like vacation, or bigger things like finances, family expectation. I think it also goes back to life, leadership. I think the nice thing is it also goes back to your personal life, how you manage your personal life. My MO might have been being openly communicative about your needs, not creating a guessing game, and it has helped both of us.
To that, I would have another question, and please, if you want to answer that, you can, and we'll pass it on. Because if the other person has a very big, or I would say an overpowering corporate image, does it create, I don't know, a kind of a framework for you also, or do you have to struggle to justify your own image?
Image, right?
Or maybe your own achievements?
I'm trying to... No, this is a really great question. Insecurity makes you do a lot of things, right? My partner does have bigger and greater corporate presence than I do right now. And when people recognize him as my partner, I've noticed that he's getting happier. And when I'm getting recognized as his partner, I'm taking it like, why? Because he's doing better than I am? Because he's a man? So then I chalk it up to my own insecurity, because I'm going through a phase. I think when two people are secure within themselves, it is not a competition.
So Nisha, you came to India.
Yes.
You talked to people.
Yeah.
I hope your tickets are still scheduled properly.
Finally.
Finally.
Very last minute
Yes,
usual.
very last minute. So what's next for you? Like, I know that you are still trying to get into policy in tech, and you have a background of working with people. You have to manage your personal chaos, professional chaos, and the work that you will do, it's demanding.
Yeah.
Mentally, physically, and professionally. So what's your strategy now? Like, how would you have that mental peace and then parallelly pursue your dreams with full throttle?
Sure. What's next, right? More backgrounds. So I graduated, and then I had this detour in my career. Instead of pursuing my policy career, I thought I could do an entrepreneurial thing, which didn't work out. I was hoping to open a restaurant in New York City, which had the idea started from United Nations General Assembly floor in 2021. I'll not go beyond that there. Very random, strange happenings. That didn't work out. So now I'm in a way happy, because when I was trying to do restaurants, somewhere in my heart there was like, but what about my policy career? So now I'm going to pursue that. And it's a really difficult time for policy pursuers right now, especially in United States, given the politics and all that's happening there. So my one laser focus is to establish my voice in policy world. I want to create who I am, and I want to express that to the world through LinkedIn and through other works that I've already done, my knowledge, and then also pursue avenues where I can find a career that will give me an entrance to the world that I want to continue working and living in. That's immediate. It took me a while after my dad passed away, and I don't know when and how and at what point I came to internalize the thought that life is not fair. So I'll do what I can do, but it's not fair. Maybe this mindset will help me, because when you go in policy, things are just unfair, right? For example, Afghanistan, what's happening there? Do people deserve happening that? Or let's talk about from my perspective, when I look at women whose education is taken away from them on 2024, 2025 year, like, is that fair? From my perspective, it's not. So I've come to understand there is perspective, your truth, and truth is truth, but your opinion on it and my opinion on it, and life is not fair. But as we spoke, I'm also a very solution-driven person. So then what? Life is not fair. What can we do about it? That is my approach, and I'll sleep better if I can say I tried. I did my best. I did not take 2 steps backward when I could go ahead and give my hand or present something. So to maintain the balance of my sanity, I have created these mental guardrails for me. And because if I'm not sane, I can't do anything for anyone. So it is important that I love myself first. That doesn't mean that I'm going to be selfish. So that's my balance.
Yeah. So that is where we would wrap up our conversation with Nisha. So if you love yourself, please love us also and give some love to this video. Thank you.